Badass Women and Those in Training. Hey there, join me, your host, Vicki Nevins, a lifelong badass, as we explore conversations with unique, interesting, and extraordinarily fierce women who found squeezing lemons and sporting rose-colored glasses as a way to survive, overcome, and thrive through all of life's challenges. Badass Women and Those in Training. May we know them, may we be them, may we raise them. Are you a badass or are you in training? Tune in and let's talk. Hi, Vicki Nevins here, and I'm so excited that we're squeezing lemons and sporting the rose-colored glasses with Sue Anderson. And she's in Alabama, and we're going to talk about her evolution and where she's going and how the badassery fits into that. So, Sue, tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do and where you are right now today.
All right. I am a woman in flux. How about that?
Aren't we always?
I guess that's part of being a human that's alive, right?
I think so. And I think as entrepreneurs, we are always in flux because we have that creative, and it's an ember that is constantly evolving.
Oh, yeah,
I
definitely.
think.
I agree. So I'm a freelance writer. I started writing as a business in 2005. I had two little kids at home. I needed to have something that I could do to make some money, did not want to work outside the home because I just couldn't find anything that was a good fit. I remember the final straw going, maybe I should start my own thing was I was going to get a job as a temp. That'll work. The day before I was supposed to report, somebody called from the place and they're like, okay, well, here's where you're going. Make sure no visible tattoos. I didn't have any at the time. Oh, and your bathroom break is at this time, and this time. And I thought, oh my gosh, they're going to tell me when I can go pee. This is a problem. I am a grown woman. So I started thinking there's got to be a better way. And I went through a coaching program. I saved up all my pennies and paid for this and had a coach because I was like, what do I do when I grow up? And we did some assessments and asked 360 review, all this kind of stuff, and it came out that I'm a really good writer. And I thought, yeah, but I also need to make money. What am I going to write books and hope to get on Oprah? This is what is this? This is crazy. She goes, well, there's this thing called the internet, which I knew of. She goes, everybody's going to need a website. Every business is going to need one. And I was like, really? So she said, and all those websites need words. So I started and worked for the past 18 years. I've been working as a writer. During a lot of that time, I was the sole support for my family. So I worked a lot, like all the time. You know how it can go as a writer. The more you're writing, And it got to the point where I never was off my screen. And so here I had these two little kids at home and I'm like, I got to work and go outside or do anything for work-life balance that was non-existent. Outside was like, that's the place you go to get to the car to take the kids somewhere. It was not an enjoyable place for me. Felt frivolous to be outside, actually. Like I should be working. About 2 years ago, I read a book called 3 Simple Steps by a guy named Trevor G. Blake. He built all these 9-figure businesses. He's a little bit old. I think he's in his 60s, maybe late 60s. So I kind of got that. I'm, 56 right now. And I was like, what is his secret here? And he talks all the time in his books about how he spends about maybe 2 hours a day working. And the rest of the time he's walking his dogs, hanging out in nature, all this. And that's where he's gotten his best ideas. And I thought, well, I could try it. So I'd go outside and sit there like, okay, what's the big deal? What am I supposed to be doing? But I stuck with it and started deadheading roses because I needed something. I'm like, well, this is kind of fun. Started gardening after that because I'm like, well, if I can take care of roses, I could probably grow some food. Next thing you know, fast forward, my entire front yard is now a food garden. And I'm hanging out outside. I felt like a little kid running out outside, like on the recess bell, like, woo, I'm out. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. All along, I've been working with entrepreneurs because that's what my writing firm does. We take care of small, medium businesses. It's like, and I'm like, I know they don't go outside. I'd also taken a job with a company that trains e-com entrepreneurs how to build a $1 million business in about a year. And all of them, I'm like, I bet they don't go outside much. They're online all the time. And I thought, this is really like, I'm getting great ideas out here. I should share this with people. And so one day I'm driving on a long, long drive, get great ideas then, right? Is like, don't have any sound on, no music, no podcast, nothing, just listening to your brain and waiting for something. And I got this amazing inspiration to build a retreat center for entrepreneurs. And the whole goal is lure them outside, help them kind of get addicted to like the feeling of fresh air. And yes, exactly, exactly. And I started thinking, this could be really something. I've gone on retreats outside. I love retreats. Maybe I could do this. So I started kind of like painting a vision. I crafted, here's what I want to do. Here's what it'll be like. And I started looking at properties. I'm like, this is crazy. How could I possibly do this? But I got to do it. I feel like I got to do it. And if I don't, I'll always wonder, why didn't I do that? And I found a property.
Imagine that.
And you would not believe the price. So it's in Northeast Tennessee. We got 35 acres for $175,000, which is like, oh my gosh. So I started thinking like, how can I do this? Like, I don't have $175,000 laying around. I learned how to do a pitch deck and raise some money. And I was able to raise enough that we could cover a down payment and like about a year's worth of mortgage payments on it until we could start getting something going. So we have the property. And I'm still in Alabama because my husband and I used to have a custom classic Volkswagen restoration business. He built cars that are in magazines. They're just like drop dead gorgeous. We're talking like $250,000 Beetles in some cases, which is crazy, but really, really fun. And it was just amazing seeing like how much these owners of these cars, it was a heart project for them. It meant the world to them. This is their pride and joy, And we had to close that earlier this year, but we're now waiting. So we've got this odd property, our house, and a 6,000 square foot shop out back. So it's 3 times the size of the house, which is a little nuts. But so we're waiting Alabama for our house to sell so we can fund the rest of the project. And when we do, it's going to be these beautiful geodesic domes up into the hills in our property. There's a creek that runs all along the whole property and a pasture and woods. And
what a shame.
It's horrible. Nobody should go. Total rubbish.
I can't imagine where anybody would have any fun in a setting like that.
Right, right.
And talk about hang that carrot.
I know, right? Well, it gets better. I'm going to get alpacas.
Oh, fun. Absolutely.
Yeah. So
even better.
Yes. So all this is just like, while we have this waiting period, which has kind of been rough, just at least we've got, this vision. And when he used to do construction, he's very engineer minded. And so he's like, oh, I figured out how we're getting water to the top of the hill. Oh, we're going to build this cold plunge tub. Oh, we're going to build a wood fired hot tub. And it's built already in his head. Now it's just a matter of when we get there,
One step at a time. What gets you out of bed every morning?
Well, my cat, for one. She will sit up on my shoulder and go, excuse me. There's things that I love. I love creating stuff. And most of the time that's, my medium would be words, as most writers. And I love sharing what I've created. And the two of those things together, whether it's I'm cooking something, I grew something in the garden, I made something from what I cooked and from the garden, whatever it is, it's like I like to make it and share it. And I've boiled it down. Those are the two things that really, if I can do that in a day, it's been a great day.
Making and sharing. I love cooking and I love growing. And I love that, seeing something from this to this and then sharing it. It's hard to describe that feeling, but it's like an ultimate satisfaction. Like, yes, you enjoy what I enjoy.
Yes.
Or you've enjoyed what I've enjoyed making.
Yeah. And you can see like the person's face is like, ooh, like, oh, nailed it.
And when it's food and they go, can I have some more, please?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So who does your dishes?
Oh, actually, right now, my husband is doing all of everything. It's been incredible. So he used to be, working. And now that's not there. He goes, all right, my job right now is taking care of you. I'm like, okay. I haven't had that since I was a little kid, but he does all the cooking, cleaning, shopping, laundry, dishes. It's amazing. and he does
It's
really well.
wonderful, isn't it?
Does it better than I do.
What a problem. So tell me, what does a normal day look like for
Normal's a
Sue?
strong word.
I know it's a drier setting, but what does a day in Sue's life look like for Sue?
Oh
That
yeah.
give us a little piece of what we would see if we spent the day with you.
Yeah. So first thing, I get up, no phone, no alarm, nothing, and I go outside with my husband. We have tea out on the fruit tea because I hate regular tea. So fruit tea out on the porch. And we kind of listen to the birds and look at the plants and pet the dogs, all this kind of stuff. And I just sit there until I'm done sitting there. And then I come in, we have coffee and breakfast and get on the computers. And I make the rounds. There's different things I check on, different metrics I'm, tracking, all that kind of stuff. We'll get showered and then I work until lunch. And he tells me food. I'm like, okay. We walk our dogs. We have 4 of them. And then I come back and work again until the evening. Most of the time I'm working on client stuff. And then some of it, I'm actually, I have my own content sites that I'm trying to build up and trying to get some residual income going that way by building some really great sites.
All that prep work, it's a lot.
It is.
There's a lot to it. Be ready. You've got the property, you've got the vision. Husband has it worked out for the hot tub, the cold plunge, the different things like that, the physical relief to get rid of tension for entrepreneurs. Yeah. Tell me, what is going to get these entrepreneurs outside that normally aren't outside? How are you going to lure them out there? I mean, you said alpacas, everybody's going to want to go see them.
And we do, there are bears. It's the Smokies.
So are you going to take them on hikes? How are you going to unplug these entrepreneurs?
Yeah. So one part of this is going to be, there's going to be like a mini farm there. I want to grow a food forest. We'll be homesteading on the property. We'll be
perfect. So you'll be able to farm to table everything.
That's and then selling. Yeah, and selling to restaurants. So what I've learned as I don't know anything about running a retreat center or a farm or any, I've Airbnb'd my house before. That's about as far as I've gone. So, but from what I've been learning, it's really important to have multiple streams of income for it. So obviously. And so it's been fun going, oh, wow. Well, the venue where we're going to have this, we could have weddings. That'd be cool. I could build like an outdoor tea room. I mean, the ideas are just like, some of them are crazy, but this is going to be really fun to do. So there's going to be all kinds of outside stuff. We entrepreneurs are like kids. Somebody tells us, go outside. It's really good for you. We're going to say, no, I don't have time. I don't want to. I don't like it. But if you kind of like, hey, go get some eggs. Yeah, exactly. Make me.
You can't make me. I'm independent.
I'm going to stay inside till I die. So I figured the more things that I welcome them into, I'm going to be doing them anyway. So if they want to come learn, I'll teach them. If they want to figure it out on their own, great. If they already know, fantastic. But I feel like that's going to be really good for them to, hey, there's 35 acres, go play. We're going to put in stuff like disc golf through the trees. I don't know how that works, but
I bet you'll make a way. Yeah,
probably.
So exactly. Do you feel like a badass?
Some days I don't. Some days I wake up and I'm totally petrified and full of anxiety, and that voice wins, for a few hours. But without fail, if I'll go outside and breathe, I remember, wait a second. Yeah, you've been through a lot of stuff, but you're still here and you're on a mission, and nobody else can do this except for you. You're perfectly suited, Sue, to be doing this. There's nobody better who could do this. And even if you don't know what you're doing yet, you're going to figure it out. And you've got so many great people surrounding you who know things or who can listen or who can advise and help. And that strengthens me. And also somebody had once told me, Sue, it's kind of like you're living this epic life full of just incredible ups and downs, and you're still coming through it. And so I kind of feel like maybe your grandkids are going to write books about you. I'm like, well, that'd be cool. But it's just that sense of, I know, like next generations are watching. The people who don't exist yet, they will one day, hopefully, take some strength and inspiration from my life. So
true. I was born in the 50s. I was raised in the 60s. So there you go.
There you go.
I was around and doing things that Mother Earth was writing about at that time. Yeah. And then, of course, I survived the 70s. adulted in the 80s, had kids in the 90s. I was 35 when I had my first kid. And so, that evolution, and it comes around full circle. And now everybody's trying to get back to what we grew up in the 60s as, you know, back to nature.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, we were feral kids, your mom would go on, get out.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
And you did.
the door lock after I left, I'm not sure. And you were just outside until it was lunch, and then outside until the lights went on the street. And we were in the woods, we were playing, we played kickball, running, all, everything. We were just wild children, just running around outside.
That was the times.
Yeah, yeah. And then when I had kids, so I had my first child was born in 1996. And I was already, I was actually working in an accounting firm as an admin and had about an hour and a half commute each way. It was in horrible traffic. It was awful. And this past weekend, my son and my daughter-in-law, we went on this hike in the mountains and it was amazing.
Oh,
my daughter
nice.
had some comment about somebody. She's like, that person needs to get their feet in the grass more. They need to go touch some grass. And I thought, oh my goodness, despite, the fact that they were basically raised indoors, they're starting to catch it too.
It sounds like you've got a lot of fun in store for people who come to your future vision.
I think so. And it's, as I talk to entrepreneurs and I tell them what I'm doing, they're like, oh, sign me up.
I don't think you'll have a problem being able to fill your accommodations list.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm going to nudge them toward you.
Oh yeah, thanks. That'd be fun. And I love retreats. I feel like especially entrepreneurs tend to be very lonely, because we're indoors all the time looking, at screens. And yet we're serving people. So there's this weird thing going on, and it's like, and if you happen to go outside, you go to your neighbor, they're at work in a real job, there's just not that many people that we know in real life who can see us and we can talk business or talk dreams or talk whatever. We're weirdos, entrepreneurs.
Well, we are very eccentric.
That's a nice way to put it.
Do you feel like you're breaking through barriers that maybe women entrepreneurs haven't done before? I mean, do you feel like you've done that or doing that now?
That's a great question. When I first started in 2005, I remember, I kind of got into info marketing. I learned how to make money writing. So I made a course because I'm like, I guarantee there's other moms staying at home who want to make money, So I built a course and I got into the info marketing world. And I was like, oh my gosh, there are no women here. You'd go to an event and it was 90% men. And the women would kind of like, hang out together and go, why aren't there more of us?
That's
and
right.
It's so funny. Like I'm seeing now, it's been almost 20 years of going to events and now it's probably closer to 50-50, which is really neat to see. I love this, but whether they're, have brick and mortar businesses or they're coaches or, consultants or they're doing an e-com business or info marketing.
Variety of models.
Yes, it really is. And it's so much more commonplace now. You don't have to explain what you're doing. And now it doesn't have that same sense of we're alone in this, it's more just like, we just happen to be women in this group. The only problem is when it becomes work from everywhere all the time, right?
Entrepreneur.
Yes.
I mean, it is. And so unplugging, I can see why that's a big thing for you is to unplug, because I do work primarily with women entrepreneurs. I teach them and train them how to plug in on purpose to certain things and have priorities with it. And then when you have your personal time, it's done, because I don't work on Mondays and Fridays. I take Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday and pour my efforts there.
That's beautiful. You've set great boundaries then,
yes, it took a while to figure that out.
It does. Because it's like, I remember for years, I was like, weekends, what is this weekend thing people talk about? And you're watching TV, what, and it was a very unhealthy, unbalanced life.
And separate personal and professional is very, very important. So I think Entrepreneurs Gone Wild, is that the correct title?
Yeah, that's so that's the newsletter that I'm building. And I built this because I was like, all right, this is taking too long to actually get to Idlewild Woods. I need to serve these people sooner. And so I built a newsletter and it's just starting.
If somebody was to ask you, what's Fun Sue? What does Fun Sue mean?
Fun Sue was gone for a long, long time. So this is a new concept for me. I became very serious, with all that, just constantly working, trying to feed the family. Now Fun Sue is probably going to be hanging out in the garden, maybe looking and laughing at my chickens, petting weird animals. We're going to be hanging out outside.
So I'm glad I got to meet Fun Sue first and learn about Serious Sue.
I
Were
think
you
we all
fun back then?
Serious Sue was not a whole lot of fun. Very business, just get it done.
Oh, yeah. I'm glad I got to meet Fun Sue, and I can't wait to meet you in person. So if you want to leave a little nugget for somebody trying to figure out whether they're a badass or if they want to be a badass or if they're in training and they're trying to figure out their passion and purpose, what would you like to leave a nugget about on that?
Oh, if I could shoo them outside to go ponder all this stuff, that would be the thing. It's our time is the absolute most valuable thing. It's the scarcest resource. We freak out about it. It's hard to wait in line. It's hard to, and so it makes it very easy to forget to lavish that most valuable resource that we have on our most precious asset, which is us, our soul, our mind, our purpose. Contemplating, where should I, what do I do next? Like just letting your brain play a little bit. And so I always tell people, I'm like, don't be afraid to lavish that very valuable resource on the thing that is the most precious. And that's you. That's for sure.
What's your superpower? What is your superpower,
Ooh.
Sue?
That's a good one. Oh, I know what it is. So as a writer, there's this weird thing that I can do where if I interview somebody, if I get to know somebody, if I, ask them, I can really like get them and then I can tell it to other people. And I can do it in a way that, it's really hard to write about yourself. It's so hard. You're just like, I don't know, I do what I do, right? But if I tell somebody else's story, that's like people will be, I used to do a newsletter that went out every week that for a prior client, and people would be like, this is the newsletter. This is the only newsletter I read every week. Every week I read it. And they're, if they got featured, they're like, I sent it to my mom. I'm so proud. Or I hung it on the fridge, or I have it framed. It's right here so that I can see it every time that I forget who I am. And I'm like, yeah, got it. But I love doing that. If I can see somebody and understand, like get them, then I can tell others, which is so cool.
When you hear the phrase badass women and those in training, what does that come to mind with you when you hear that?
That's great. I think it's women who are willing to own their greatness, or willing to be willing to own their greatness.
Willing to be willing to own their greatness. That's good.
Right. We can have a good time.
Always go for the dream. That's where the passion is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you keep fighting for that one and that 35 acres and making that happen, and send me pictures along the way.
Yeah, we're documenting everything along the way, which is huge.
Nice. So I won't keep you any longer. Thanks for participating.
Beautiful. I love that. It's
good meeting you.
Fantastic. You too. Thank you so much, Vicki. Hope you have a great day.
You bet. You too. Later.
Thanks for joining me today for a little fun. It's all about squeezing lemons and sporting rose-colored glasses on all kinds of topics for all of my fabulous, fearless friends. That's it for today. So until our next conversation, this is Vicki Nevins, your host of Badass Women and Those in Training. Real conversations with extraordinarily fierce women and so much more. Thank you for watching. In addition to all of the podcast hosts, you can also find us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. To catch all of our upcoming episodes, remember to like, follow, and subscribe.